Happy Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. So, today we were in church and we were having a discussion about Sodom and Gomorrah, specifically in part about Lot. So, I want to read out of Genesis 19, verse 15 through 16, and kind of get you to think about something here. And also, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit about that because I think it's important to figure out how this gets to be where it is. Okay. So in 15 through 16, it says, when the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, arise, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. And while he lingered, talking about Lot, so the angels are urging Lot, telling Lot, hey, get your family and get out. He was lingering. He didn't want to go. It says the men took hold of his hand, the two angels, his wife's hand, and the hands of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. So the son-in-laws ended up staying, right? They weren't there. They didn't go. They left. They thought, hey, Lot is joking. And it says this, if you back up into verse 14 and 15, or I'm sorry, and verse 14 says, so Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-laws who had married his daughters and said, get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But to his son-in-laws, he seemed to be joking. So they weren't taking Lot serious. Whether Lot had joked with them before or Lot was known as kind of like a jokester where he'd like to, make jokes or make light of things. In this scenario, he was being serious and his son-in-laws didn't believe him. So they decided to stay where they were at. So I get to thinking about this and I'm like, wow, here the angels are urging him to get out of the city. And for whatever reason, Lot was not wanting to go. He wanted to stay. Maybe it was because he was comfortable. Maybe it was because he was content with where he was at. Maybe it was, fear gripping him like, hey, I have to leave everything here and I have to go somewhere else. And I don't know what's out there. I'm okay with where I'm at. This is where I want to stay. This is my life. This is my foundation. This is where, I lived. I don't want to go out there. And sometimes this is what we do as people, even today. When God is urging us to go do something, so many times we might just refuse God's direction. We might just refuse where God is trying to station us, where God is trying to take us because we are so content or comfortable with our surroundings. We're comfortable in our environment. We're comfortable with where we've been. And we don't want to move. We don't want to go somewhere else where God may be calling us for us to go, or the fact that God is directing us. And sometimes God will urge you to go. Sometimes God will send someone to grab you by the hand, metaphorically, and etch you out of your situation, your comfort zone. And then once you're there, the angels told him, now run, get out. Don't look behind, just run, get far away. And so now you're in a position where now you're already out there. You just need to go, get to where God is trying to put you. How many times do we just want to stay in a bad relationship? Whether boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm not advocating for divorce because I don't believe in divorce. In a job that doesn't mean you well and God is trying to tell you to go to a different job, or trying to go talk to somebody to save their soul and you refuse to because you think you're better than them, or to have a conversation with somebody and sharpen their intelligence and their mind about God, but yet you refuse to because you think you're higher than they are and they're lower than you. Understand, we're all in this situation. We have all been there where God has urged us to go do something, and yet we've just stayed stagnant. We've just stayed in the place that we are comfortable in because we don't want to be uncomfortable. We as a human society, as human beings, do not like the idea of uncomfortability. We do not like the idea of not having security. We strive. We want security. We want to know, okay, our bills are getting paid. We have a place to go. We have a place to live. We don't like the idea of transitioning from one place to another place. But understand that if you don't transition when God is calling you to transition, you will die and you will be burned up and caught up with judgment and punishment, just like Sodom and Gomorrah was, just like Lot's son-in-laws were, because they refused to take adherence to what Lot was telling them. And so many times we will do the same thing. God will knock on your heart. God will speak a word into your ear. God may come to you in a dream or in a vision, and you refuse to do it. You just ignore it. And that will be the beginning of your destruction. That will be the beginning of your downfall. So I want to encourage you today. Don't be like Lot in the sense where fear gets a hold of you, or you just want to stay and you're resistant to that. Pick up and move when God calls you to move. Take the little steps necessary to move forward, and you'll get to a better place. Just like Lot was. Yes, the place that he asked to go to was a small town. It was very small, but it is a new beginning. And most of the time, our new beginnings will start out small, and then we can flourish in the end. But we have to be willing to sacrifice our comfortability. We have to be willing to sacrifice our contentment. We have to be willing to sacrifice where we're at when God tells us, this is where I need you to go. And sometimes that is very difficult and very hard to do. I have been in situations, and I'm in a situation where, I want something to happen, but this is where God has stationed me. And I have to let God be God. I have to let God work it out. Because when I put my hands involved in it and I'm trying to do it, I mess everything up. And sometimes that is a very difficult thing for me to do as a man, because men are the federal head. Men are the ones that have to make those tough decisions. And I'm willing to make certain tough decisions, but I don't want to do it against God, and I don't want to do it if it's going to cause my own peril. So I have to be wise enough to let God lead me and not be resistant and go when God tells me to go. So I hope you guys will read Genesis chapter 19, specifically 12 through 29. Please read that part, and really focus on 14 through 16, because I think this is a huge turning point that can happen in your life. Especially if you're struggling with something right now, or if you're called to do something and you're just wanting to be resistant to it, or like it says here, Lot was wanting to stay. He didn't want to move, right? So he lingered is exactly what it said. I had to find it for a second, so forgive me. Where he just lingered. He was just staying there. He was staying stagnant. He was just lingering. He wasn't trying to move. He wasn't trying to go forth. He wasn't trying to do what God told him to do, what the two angels actually told him to do. It took the two angels to grab his family's hands, his wife, his daughters, and him, and escort him out of the place where they were at. So let's be mindful of that. When God tells us to move, let's move. That I want to just say good day. God bless. I love you guys. Stay in the Word. Stay in love. We'll talk again soon.